Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Boy. It is John Boy time. I am your host, John Francis Fahey. Joining me as ever, your Pokey, your Cumby, your Gilbert Gape, Squirt Reynolds.
Oh, dude, I love Squirt Reynolds.
Hans Puber.
Like Hans Gruber?
Yeah.
What about Hans Groper?
Hans Groper is great. Skeeter Fonda.
Peter Fondler.
Peter Fondler.
These are good, John.
Darth Maul Lester.
Oh,
I like
boy.
that a lot. You are Michelangelo's David Duchovny.
The Duke
Joseph,
of Knee.
Aaron Joseph Pita. How are you, buddy?
Man, I am good. How are you?
Okay, man. Skeeter Fonda.
Skeeter
Fonda.
You penis hopper. You whack Nicholson.
I am Whack Nicholson.
I
I am Penis Hopper. That's so dumb. It's terrible. Is that Dennis Hopper?
Mm-hmm.
It's so ridiculous. No, it's no Squirt Reynolds.
Dennis Popper.
That's nice.
Matt.
To your right, my left, handsome Matt Brousseau.
It's
Frenchman
just like
henchman.
Gaul.
Hey, hi.
Just
Tell me
like
it's
Gaul.
just like Gaul.
Yeah, well, you wish, pal.
Here's the uncut gem.
Yeah, that's true.
You ever want people to tug on it with their teeth?
Oh, God, I would.
Is that true?
What?
The faux skin.
Why?
I don't know.
Are they my rabbi?
No,
That's what they do to take it off, isn't it?
that would be your moil.
Oh, excuse me. You're right.
Clearly not a Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, for multiple reasons, obviously.
Well,
Can I call you Moyle?
you're not circumcised. That's one.
That's what I mean.
Can I call you Moyle Haggard?
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Like that.
That's good.
Moyle Haggard. It's handsome
Yeah,
Matt
Moyle.
Brousseau.
Koki for Muskokie.
Dude, I think if you can like get foreskin extending kits.
Yeah, man, we talked about it a lot.
I know,
Yeah,
but like
I got one. It was called Birth, Aaron.
No.
This
You have
extends.
foreskin privilege, okay?
See,
It extends when I want it to.
the expansion
No,
pack.
it retracts when you want.
You're
it.
talking about...
And the slack pack.
Oh.
Wait, you're saying your foreskin extends when you want it
I think
to?
you can will it.
You mean it retracts?
No.
No. The head is always...
You don't
buried.
know how it works,
Dude, I
Aaron.
know a
Aaron,
lot.
you don't know how it works.
You know, it's a typical straight man. Doesn't
It's
know
the
how.
tip of the straight man.
Do you call it the shitterus?
What?
He's got the thing where the foreskin gets hard and
The penis
yeah.
flaccidates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you basically have labia.
Well, no. It's a a circular thing. He's actually laying pipe. You know what I mean?
I'm actually an ungrower.
Happy very, very girth day to you.
I love Earth Day.
I'm thinking if the fans have any input about getting one of those foreskin extension kits. You basically like super glue on some weights
Yeah.
and it just tugs on the fucking things.
And you want them to do it, not us.
No, I'll do it.
You'll do it.
I mean, do you want to do it? As a goof.
I don't know, man.
Here's what I would do. What I would do if I got a nice prodigious foreskin,
Yeah. What would you do?
I would...
Chew on it.
No.
Keep it chewing.
Well, is that what the yoga's for?
I would either only extend it halfway, so I got a mock turtleneck, and girls think I have, wow, this guy's uncut, but the tip's hanging out like hardcore when he's flaccid, which is nice. Or what I would do is grow it out full way, and then I would tuck it back all the time. And I have like a decorative pattern on it.
Yeah.
Like a shirt collar with paisleys or something.
Oh, that's
Sure,
funny.
sure.
That's
Just
funny.
because, I'm used to being being cut.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind a little decorative foreskin.
You could do a tattoo.
I don't
You know how people do this? Like, toilet. Like on the inside of the lip.
A lip tattoo.
Yeah, I would do that.
Says
I would do an
toilet.
internal foreskin tattoo.
You do? What do you want to just say?
Toilet.
One ring to rule them all.
There you go.
No,
Okay.
you know what I think it should say?
Yeah, it's an elvish and Elvin or whatever.
I think
It's an Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I think it should say a fine Roquefort.
Perhaps a
A
gorgonzola.
fine Ropeford.
Yeah. From the top ropages, Aaron Joseph Pita. We just took the photo shoot with the tattoo.
It's gonna go up on the Instagram probably tonight. Should we do in the morning?
The fans have been so mad. We got to give it to them like right away.
Yeah, but now they're gonna really.
No, but
like
the clamoring is like you can't give in
I
to that.
love
Right.
the clamoring.
You gotta.
once they reach a fever pitch.
The fever pitch is the juice.
Got to give them what they want.
Yeah.
Got to break them off something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got
It's
to
gonna
be
be bumping.
bumping.
City of Compton.
It's where it takes place.
It's City of Compton,
Yes.
actually.
Uh-huh.
Straight out of Compton.
I'm all out.
Straight.
Straight.
It's short for cum pumpkin. And I don't know what that means, but Halloween's here. Hi, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me that look. You're
Guys,
the sicko.
we had. You know what? I'll tell you what. Do you want to hear something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want your hearts to be warmed?
Yes.
Do you?
I love heartwarming tales.
It feels cold right now. So yeah.
My heart was warmed in the last 24 hours.
No.
People are gonna be mad about me saying this, man. We got Abraham Nebgen and Trevor Stockers on the Patreon in the last 24 hours.
They just joined.
These are our new subscribers. Yeah, you can get it.
Where are they from?
Where are they from? I don't know.
They sound like weird places.
Well, they're clearly two uncut gems themselves. Or maybe cut gems. I'm not sure.
They just joined, and it was very sweet. And there's going to be a lot of people that are like, I've been subscribed for 28 months, and nobody's ever said my name. Listen, I love you too, okay?
Yeah. No,
Bye.
we just, at the last, the last like week, there's been a couple of people that message say, I've listened to everything, and now I'm subscribing.
It's so
And
fun.
I wrote
It's so
them-
fun.
They wrote us all a very nice message, and I wrote them a nice message back.
Yeah,
Thank
guys, you have no
They're
idea.
It is very sweet.
Also, was it Skip that did the flag?
I told you not to say it. I didn't tell you.
I
to
know,
say
no.
Well,
Skip,
here's the thing.
Skip, here's the deal, man. Here's the deal, man. I'm gonna level with you, man.
We're drunk during most of the show.
I haven't been sober in years.
I don't remember half of the profiles.
I've been on a 20-year bender, and I think Skip sent us the Kill for Inner Peace flag. And
But if he didn't, please tell us who.
if he didn't, man, I'm so sorry.
Is that hack dead?
It is
Yes.
back then, yeah.
But we used that in the photo shoot. We used, of course, Dodger's great artwork as well. And
If you've got any nudes you want to send us,
No.
we'll throw them up on my refrigerator.
yeah,
Okay.
that's happened.
But please do.
But yeah,
Guys, girls, what?
guys, whenever you message us on Patreon or you send us anything in the mail or whatever, like
We open.
if you send us a message on Instagram, like we always look for, like anything you're saying, we don't always have the time to get back. But a couple of requests, somebody was saying essential comic list.
Yes.
Somebody else was saying just like basically tell me what kind of like you're watching, reading, listening to now, whatever.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. We
That
haven't done one of those.
Update
in a
thing,
bit.
but
Yeah.
that's kind of more of the stuff we get into on Patreon.
It is, yes.
Subscribe on Patreon. It is $5 a month. You get an extra episode per week.
Yeah.
We get together and we do the same shenaniganery twice a week. Once for the the freeloaders,
Mhm.
and once for the hardcore guys.
Yeah. You get your mini profiles. You get your just hanging out. You get your
Connections last time was so fucking
God
tight.
damn it.
I know you guys love the connections.
I do. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, me too.
Now, Aaron, you are doing a long-awaited one.
Mhm.
It was originally suggested to me. Matt, you're wearing the Fighting Hangover shirt.
Yes.
Originally suggested by Jeff Suing.
Oh, Jeff Suing.
Yes.
Daddy.
Wonderful, handsome
Wonderful
man.
Wonderful man. Him and Jenny.
Uh,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
She's not a good man, but she's a good woman.
She's
It's the Midwest. I don't know if they see gender there yet.
Oh, they've all are all about gender
They're all-
and race.
Yeah. They're great folks, and
They really are.
They are.
I think the overall thing about this guy that Jeff wanted to do it for is something we'll get to, But shout out to Jeff Suing. We love you. We
Yes.
miss you. And
Hopefully-
Aaron, you just
hopefully I touch on it.
you just got back.
I just got back from San Francisco,
yeah.
where this gentleman is from.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I didn't get to I was, doing a little bit of research here and there before my trip to San Francisco. And then I was listening to some podcasts when I got back to kind of touch up. And I found out about all the different establishments or monuments in his honor. There's a fucking bar that's basically made, and I fucking boned out. I totally fucked up and didn't go to any of them because I didn't know they existed during my trip because I didn't.
Usually boning out is good though.
Oh, I was boning out all weekend.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
And I part of the reason that I booked this trip to San Francisco 2 months ago, but about 3 weeks ago, I was reading / listening to Sandman by Neil Gaiman. A great comic.
Yes.
And for many years. And this particular character from history, as others, is in the book. In the comic book and in the audible audio drama, it is played by John Lithgow.
Shut the fuck up, really?
Oh, dude, it's a who's who on that, bro. Everyone, if you're not on the Sandman audio play, are you even trying? So this particular individual is somebody that this was the show was created for.
Yes.
Not a special person,
Arguably.
but very eccentric
Highly.
and beloved.
I think almost the reception to him is as eccentric as the man himself.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's kind of what Jeff Suing was getting at.
Yes.
Where he was saying,
It's very much a San Francisco story.
it was a thing where everyone just goes, yeah, okay.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Sure, let's go.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is almost the personality of San Francisco to be like,
Hasn't changed.
you know what?
There's tons of these guys all around now.
Yeah, if fucking men are fucking marrying men, this guy says he's the protector of Mexico. Let's fucking go.
Well, and also if you want to live on a tent over a sewer grate, sure.
Who am I? Who's to say?
Yeah, I think
that's
it's
where
gone
the heat-
it's
that's where
gone
the
a little
heat
bit
is.
overboard there. Yeah, you want to take a shit right in front of the apple? It's,
Well, I mean, don't give it all
it's
away.
gone a little bit overboard, but that he is totally like the San Francisco treat.
Yeah.
So this gentleman was born Joshua Abraham Norton,
Mm.
the 4th of February, either 1814, 1818, or 1819. There are sources that differ, but most credible historians and scholars settle on 1818. And he was born to Jewish parents John and Sarah in Deptford, England, which is now part of London.
Mm.
And when he was 2, so this would now be 1820. The crown was basically subsidizing people to move to South Africa for settlement,
Right.
colonization.
Land grab.
Yeah, so they went down to South Africa to basically Cape of Good Hope area. And his dad set up a successful ship supplies business because that's where people would round. It's a big port.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were one of 2 Jewish families out of, I think there was like 100 families.
But they originated from London?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, London would have a decent Jewish population.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them were decent.
No, it's the same thing like capital cities like Dublin.
Yeah, if you're a financial center
Right. Okay. Very good.
or arts or science, if you're a metropolis, there's Jews there.
Right.
Yes. Better way of putting it.
Is that is that nice?
Go on.
So nice. So nice, dude.
I didn't say they were blood-sucking moneylenders or anything. I didn't say they're people who bite the foreskin off baby dicks like you did.
Mm-hmm. You said you were on a longer foreskin. That's what you said.
I want it so Jew bites it off.
Well,
Lucky. For luck.
So
it's lucky for that guy.
So they set sail in Feb 20. His parents, his older brother Lewis, he had a brother who was born on the ship on the way down,
Nice.
Philip.
God damn.
And his dad set up a successful ship supply shop because, these people are coming in. They got to get shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the next decade or so, fucking Papa Norton was popping out kids or popping kids into Mama Norton, who popped them out.
Yeah.
She did the lion's share
Mm-hmm.
of that. But around 1840, business started heading south. And that was because a lot of these people that came down there, they were from England, many people, city dwellers, and they go down to South Africa and like, I guess I'll be a farmer. Farming's easy. There's land everywhere. Oh, I want to do that.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Right. They sent city slickers down to the beach
Right.
Right.
in Africa.
Right.
And so a lot of people floundered and failed, and then
But arguably, like, more like fertile land than the craggy, fucking, like, stone-laden English.
well, they weren't farmers that went down.
Right,
They
so, I mean-
tried to be farmers when they got there.
I see.
Better chance than
Yeah,
England, but they still
Right.
have no
They
idea what
sent
the fuck they're doing.
they sent a bunch of haberdashers down this. It's like, oh, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we can talk about it in episode 1 of Connections.
Nice, dude. So, business started heading south around then, and
Does you think his dad's business went south because
it's in the
people
southern hemisphere?
he was selling supplies to were failing and they couldn't buy supplies?
No. He was selling supplies for
Ships.
ships.
Oh, yeah.
And they're
right.
coming around. They're coming
Right.
from
But
India.
business went south. Okay.
Yeah, the business went south for a number of reasons. Do I know what they are? No.
Well, presumably, yeah, the thinning the herd of the people that thought it would be something and ended up being
It could be that because some of the farms failed, he didn't have provisions to sell to.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's all the economy is very connected.
And new prospects always have that thing, right? It's
There's
like
always going to be
like
failure.
when weed was legalized in California. All these people got into it,
How many failed?
and then they realized but while they were there, they drove all the fucking market prices down.
Yeah.
But then they got the fuck out because they were like, oh yeah, I thought this was gonna be fucking like the gold rush, and then like it turns out like I'm not equipped, nor do I desire to actually do this,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
out.
So we'll get to that. That's a
Right.
very apt or apropos comment. Now, Joshua's father, John, started going bankrupt, and then his wife and two sons, Lewis and Philip, died.
Jesus Christ.
They all died within a 2-year period. And then the company went bankrupt. And so
Jeez.
so Norton just peaced out.
The dad?
No, our Norton, because Norton's dad died too.
Oh yeah, but he took the family. Like
So everybody was dead, but
Everybody died.
except the mom and
I
him.
think he had like 9 other. Some of the
there's a
family
ton of-
stayed,
Okay.
but Josh left before his dad died.
mm-hmm. So who is R. Norton's his first name?
Our Norton's first name is Joshua.
Joshua.
Joshua
And so
Norton.
he's bouncing on his own.
Yeah, I
After
think he
the-
had a little bit of a strain. I think he just had a strained relationship with his father, even though he was the firstborn.
Well, I mean, probably some of that is because there's so many fucking kids, and
Which one are you?
at some point, it's like you better get out of here because I got to take care of these kids. If you're not making me money, and I'm not making money from this shop,
Yeah.
what the hell am I going to do? Then they're all dying, so you better get out of here.
Right. So
live.
Norton's dad died in 48, but most accounts say that he left a little bit before then. Meaning Joshua left before
Got
his
it.
dad died.
Gotcha.
Because his mom and brothers already had died. Business is kind of down. He's like, I gotta go. Because you know, the year is 1848.
Mm-hmm.
And so he leaves South Africa and makes his way to the Americas. Some people say that he made a short stop in South America, which would maybe make sense with some stuff that happened once he got to California. But I think he lands. I think he got on a boat, got to Boston, and then I think he took another boat around the Cape and landed in San Francisco in 1849.
What a fucking trip, man.
Yeah, that's a wild ride right there to go all the way. You're like, well, I'm in Boston. What if I took a 3-month trip?
Dude, honestly, sailing around the fucking Cape Horn is way better than going across in carriage, dude.
I think also he got to Boston and he was like, how far away from here can I get?
Yes, exactly.
Like, these people are fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Fuck
I'll sail to the bottom of the earth and back to get to San Francisco.
Streets of triangles.
And remember, there's
Show me where the edges of the earth are because I want to sail off.
Also, there's no transcontinental railroad.
Right.
You got to go on covered wagons.
Well, certainly at that time, yes. Taking a boat around. Taking a boat
Gotta
around
go.
would be.
And I don't think there was the Panama Canal.
Right. Plus, the boats can stop at ports, and they're not being like...
No, because Panama Canal is what, Teddy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like
1900s.
Yeah. You got to go the long way, pal. So
Yeah, probably Teddy.
I think it was Teddy.
Sounds right.
In 1848, the population of San Francisco was 1,000.
Jesus.
3 of them were named Dave. Just
No, I think like
500
500 of them were named Chang.
Okay.
There were a lot of Chinese
Yeah.
there. And that's great. By December,
with that.
actually, they're all named Cosmo. By December of 1849, it was 25,000.
Right. I mean,
Shut the fuck up, really? In 1 year?
Gold Rush.
Good
The
God.
49ers.
the place to
He
be.
was a 49er.
Whether he meant to be or not.
You're right.
He wasn't there for gold. He was just there because he went. Why do you think he went there?
To escape the Irish in Boston.
Boston, then he meets them all and
Never want to meet their like again.
You know,
now here they are in San Francisco.
it's the place to go.
Yes, exactly. Right.
It's not New York, which is kind of a nightmare at the time. Close to being run by gangs.
New York.
Oh,
New York
yeah.
is always a nightmare.
No, Aaron, 100%. There was a freedom allotted, and a lot of it in the West Coast was without politics and with so much more money.
Or the idea, the opportunity
The
for
promise.
money.
Yeah, the opportunity. I mean, go west, right?
Yeah.
And that is as far west as you could go.
Hawaii hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah, no, Hawaii had not been invented yet. Although Hawaii does come into play here
boy.
too. It's great.
But there is a thing there too, where like in the
It is the Wild West. San
It's
Francisco
still-
is
oh,
still
yeah,
the Wild
oh, yeah,
West.
still the Wild West, and with a port, how much more dangerous it is. Like we talked about in the Shanghai Calais thing. I just found out the same thing in Portland, man. Like Portland, they were fucking Shanghaiing people all over the goddamn
Well,
place.
that's the thing about that's most great cities have a port right there,
Yeah.
Well, yes. Well, there was.
except L.A. It's an artificial port. Like I read,
Well, because LA wasn't a great city
No.
until they got water.
halfway through the
And guess what?
20th
It's
century.
still not a great city.
Well, but
There's a reason that L.A. downtown is so far away from its port.
Mm-hmm.
And that had to do with the way that the Spanish crown dictated the way cities would be built in the New World. And it's like part of it, like, okay, there's got to be a port, but then you have to have like a presidio, and then it has to be this far away from this and all that stuff. And LA doesn't have a natural port. Long Beach does.
Right.
And so, yeah, I read this great article, and I'll try and find it, but there's a reason.
is it kind of like, you know, how like places like Alaska, Anchorage is their main city, but they're like, we want wherever Juneau is to have something, so we will make that the capital. Therefore, there is like there's a reason for people to live there.
Right.
Is it something like that?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's not like that at all. But interesting point.
I mean,
You think all the great cities
yes.
all along the coasts in the entire world are either on a river or a port.
I mean, the last Patreon we did, the age of discovery, and all boats were the trading medium.
Yeah.
And
then when the train happened, river cities died.
yeah.
And then when the train went out of fashion, train stop cities went down.
Yeah. But it was also like, the thing of like, here's the news.
Yes.
Right.
What's coming like around? It's like, well, let's fucking watch the water and see who shows up. Like that was.
I think there was something with LA where the Spanish crown learned a lesson after like something in Baja or in Monterey,
insulate a little bit.
I think they were like, yeah, you guys got to move just a little further away from the port. I think it was something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's worth protecting,
just move it away a little bit.
Yeah,
but now that we don't live in the age of like straight up pirates and empire like it was before, cities like San Francisco and New York are way cool. Like,
but that was kind of the thing, like part of the freedom of out west was that like it still was kind of a little bit like that. It still was a little bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And, Los Angeles didn't even exist at
compared
the time.
to the East Coast, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be like, there's not going to be any like swashbuckling bullshit like on the East Coast. Like you can still kind of get away with it out here because it was still kind of like
California.
We don't even know who's in charge.
LA wasn't found until like 1885 or something like that, and so they were like, oh, we got these new rules, right?
Yeah.
So he arrived in San Francisco in 1840. What did I say? 1849. And it was still the Wild West.
Yeah.
A place of 1,000 to 20. Like, I don't think he got there in the end of 49. So let's just split the difference and say 10,000 people. Right. The gold rush had just fucking totally transformed the entire economy and infrastructure and attitude toward there. It was also like it was constantly rebuilding itself and reinventing itself.
Yeah.
In between 1849 and 1851, the city was destroyed almost completely 7 times by fire.
like the natural fire, like.
Oh, everything was made of wood, and there's kerosene lamps, and
they're all building next to each other. No, there's no fire code. It's
right. And then they got brick,
and there's no fire department really.
Right.
If there is, it's just 4 horses and a bucket of water.
And then another guy who sets the fires and says, I'm the fire department.
Right. Well, in New York, it was the thing of like the fire department fights each other. And,
right. But I mean, I feel like in San Francisco at that time, there weren't even enough people to have like firefighting gangs.
No. There eventually would be those type of things, but not for fire.
You need a certain level of city to then go back down.
There's a really weird thing where like, despite, some of the stuff that happens with like, we're saying like the John Holmes, the Wonderland murders and stuff like that. There is some stuff that is like, it leads you to understand there is a LA underground, whatever. But for the most part, organized crime really didn't exist in the West Coast.
No, it ended.
Or it was so like diluted by being invested in industry, like the film industry or something, that it was...
They legitimized themselves into real estate speculation.
Las Vegas.
The movie industry, like specifically West Coast crime.
Yeah.
They just legitimized themselves into the entertainment industry, real estate speculation, and a couple other things. You read the book City of Quartz by Mike Davis is the book to read about LA.
Right.
Let's see. And okay, so Joshua was like the only surviving like adult son of his father and mother. And so most people agree that he showed up to San Francisco with a modest inheritance of about $40,000.
Holy shit.
Which would be about $250K today.
Nice.
Which is nice. It's not
great.
It's not.
I mean, you show up with that. That helps you get you on your feet.
Better than
if you had.
ball,
I mean, here's the thing. If you had $250,000 in San Francisco, what could you really do?
Well, yeah, but the housing,
Buy a closet.
the housing market now wasn't what
Oh, you
it
mean
was
now?
then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it is adjusted for that inflation.
No, but that's adjusted for U.S. inflation. That's San Francisco inflation.
Oh, like the inflatable butt plug? thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So you're saying that
I mean, I think it's a modest inheritance.
he was still pretty poor in San Francisco.
No, I don't think he was pretty poor.
Okay.
I mean, he showed up with money.
Sure.
That's better than most people there.
Almost a lot of them should have. Most of them should have
With
to make-
tuberculosis.
to make
Yeah,
money
yeah,
with
exactly.
Yeah, he had some starting capital.
Yes.
It wasn't, Vanderbilt money or anything,
Yeah.
but he had, hey, I got some money I can do something with.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
And so he was pretty good with his money. He invested in some real estate because if you're going to invest in real estate, go to a place that's about to boom, right?
Mm.
And so I think he bought like 3 buildings on the corner right next to like Fisherman's Wharf or something,
Yeah.
or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
And he did some commodities trading and stuff. And so within like 3 years, I think he ended up making like $250,000 of that time's money.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah. So he was well liked and got well connected
Yeah.
with the who's who of the day.
Yeah.
He was able to build a shack that didn't always catch on fire.
Yeah, it was the Love Shack.
Yeah.
There's glitter on the mattress, and that's fire retardant.
Well, there's a thing there too, though, where you go like, the kind of like rookie move would be like, oh, go for the fucking whatever you think the fucking gold mine is, and like, kind of like the pro move is to be like, all right, there's all these people just like pounding pavement.
Invent jeans,
Oh, yeah, or like there's
gold pans.
There's all these people like pounding pavement looking for the fucking gold mine.
That was his thing.
In this area.
I'm not gonna go mine
I'll
gold.
just buy that area where everyone's busy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know people want to be. And
It's
like,
all the side. It's all the side in supporting industries that made all the money.
Yeah.
And that is something to remember.
Yeah, there was I'm fucking with preparing for Howard Hughes,
Mhm.
and a big part of Howard Hughes' father was like he saw straight up oil like squirt out of the ground like as he was basically going by, and then he bought up plots of land. But the big thing he got it from was these tools aren't getting out good enough, and then he actually developed a tool to like harvest the oil faster, and he was just like, well, fucking anybody can use this shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so he didn't really make his money in oil, but he made his money in like oil convenience.
Yeah,
see the thing everybody is using and make that better, because then everybody,
Yeah.
all of those people
And
then buy it.
then that was just like, but yeah, the Hughes like dad was basically in tools. He wasn't really in oil.
I was in San Francisco.
I gathered, yeah.
Totally fucking biffed and didn't go to the Hank Pym house from
Right.
Man, I drove right by it.
Yeah.
Should have stopped.
Yeah,
American icon.
Yeah, man. Hi.
Hi.
Heard of Endgame?
Yeah.
There is no Endgame without him. Anyways.
You heard it here first, folks. Anyways.
So he worked his way up the real estate market, commodities trading, and he was by 1852, he was a prosperous, respected citizen of the city. Would go hobnob and rub shoulders and whole nine.
I love that.
And then in 1853, China, they had a famine.
Yes.
I would imagine it was probably caused by the British in some way. I imagine they were like
What I know
opium,
about
rice,
history.
whatever.
To be fair, they have caused their own.
James Burke's got to know.
To be fair, they have caused their own famine.
Yes, but this was before Lysenkoism. I think. And so what happened was China ceased all exports of rice
Ah.
around the world because they got to have it for their own people.
Right.
Now, you know how much San Francisco loves rice and roni.
Oh, dude, it's a San Francisco treat. I mean,
Mhm. And the large Chinese population there, etc. So old Josh Norton goes, "Dude, we gotta get some rice." And he gets word on the street from one of his boys, maybe working down at the docks. He goes, "Listen, man, that, by the way, that embargo or that embargo on exporting rice, it sent the price of rice from $4 a pound to 37 cents
Jesus
a pound."
Christ.
And so he gets word from a guy that works down the docks, like, "Listen, tomorrow morning, there's one ship coming in from Peru with a fuckload of rice. And they'll sell it for 12 cents.
Better than a kick in the balls.
Yeah. So he fucking liquidates pretty much all of his money. I think he buys like $75,000 worth of rice from this boat.
Now, how much is that per grain?
That's not rice you're eating, Michael. They're maggots. Yeah, I don't know how much per grain it is.
Think about it.
Think about it. Put it together.
Hey Siri, how many grains of rice in a pound? 29,000 grains.
Christ almighty.
Now that's long grain white.
Who?
He was an Indian chief.
Boy.
So what?
Huh?
Who?
I don't even know. He liquidated it.
Go ahead.
So
He's liquidating.
is that a site? Liquidating. So what he didn't know, and what he wasn't told, and perhaps he wasn't smart enough to know this.
Jesus Christ.
Like for the next week, ships came in from Peru with more rice.
So all the rice.
And it dropped the price down to 3 cents.
Oh.
I mean, we live in a worldwide economy. And so he's got all this expensive ass rice. He's like, this is fucking bullshit. This violates my civil rights. I mean, now there might be a grain of truth in that.
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
It's too late.
I mean, he was steamed.
Dude, you wrote all these jokes.
No, made it up. I literally made it up right now.
You wrote those jokes.
Dude, I barely researched this. I don't have time to write jokes.
Great. Thank you for.
Is that a good self-nag?
We're going to small claims court because these are very small claims.
These aren't clams.
You wrote those terrible grain jokes.
So he did go to court. He took that he to try and get himself out of this jam.
Is that?
There's no. I was like pickle jam. So he went to court to get out of the contract, and he said that the sample rice that was shown was not of the same quality that actually came on the boat, and it was like a fucking 4-year protracted legal battle
Over rice.
and he won in a couple of the lower courts, but then it went to the California Supreme Court and they decided against him.
You're shitting me.
And he had to
Eat all that rice.
It was just every day. He's just shoveling it.
yeah, he poured it into the ocean.
$48 of rice.
And then it
Day in, day out.
Just
Rice.
I mean, you got all the
Noodling
rice
that
you could
rice.
eat.
all the rice in Peru.
So he basically
Lost his shit.
lost his shit. He had to sell all his buildings, and he eventually declared bankruptcy.
He bought so much rice he didn't declare.
He built a house out of rice.
Yeah.
Um,
The rice is wrong.
it's really shitty, and this seems to be like
But also, he was kind of trying to corner the market.
Yeah, he was trying
It's
to
a little
be
bit.
shitty.
listen. He wasn't trying. From everything that we know about this guy, is that he was not a manipulator or a greedy person. Now that may be because of after this, But he always had he seemed to have a good sense of what right and wrong is and how to care about people. He's just saying like, oh man, there's no rice. Fuck, I'll get all the rice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy it at 12 cents because people are paying 37.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll sell it at 15.
Sure.
If there's no rice in San Francisco,
Right.
I'll be the rice guy, right? And so he rolled the dice with the rice. And the bank foreclosed on his real estate holdings to pay the debt. He filed for bankruptcy in 58. And then he just moved into a boarding house.
Jesus.
And he hadn't been seen for, as far as we know, we haven't seen him. He disappears for a couple of years. And so now it's September 1859. So he's what? Almost 40?
What is it? He's born in 1820?
He was born in 1818. Or 14 or 19. Mm-hmm. So he's about 30.
1818 is the consensus, you said.
So, and it's 59?
Right. So he is 41.
Okay. So now he's 41.
Nice.
And this is where he just fucking reinvents himself.
Mm.
He takes matters into his own hands. He's disappointed with the state of the Union. You know, it's 1859, and there's a lot going on in the country.
Certainly.
You said it, neighbor.
You know, there is, you could say, a minor disagreement going on betwixt the North and the South.
Sure.
Strife.
Truly.
Yes. What do we do with these new states? What do we do with Kansas?
Come on, let them have those people.
Should they attack each other? Well, yeah.
Apparently, there's a Mason-Dixon line. There are plans for a transcontinental railroad that probably already had laid the tracks.
Mm.
So the country is changing. The country is in turmoil. And he's like, man, you know, and this is what he would say to people even when he was sane and well-known and established. He'd be like, man, fuck, I could run this country in my sleep.
Fuck you, dude.
He could say shit like that. He would be like, there's so many problems. If we just had an exact... He did appreciate American democracy and the republic, but he was just it's not doing it right.
If only there was a rice man in charge.
If only there was a guy that failed at business. I wonder who this reminds me of. If only there was a man that failed tremendously at business.
Yes.
To head the ship.
Yes.
So
who made all of his money off his parents?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. He did have a successful business for a while. Not Trump. No. Talking about Norton.
Yes, you're right.
Norton was also well liked.
Sure.
But there are similarities. But there's, I would say, even more differences.
Okay. Well, hit me.
September 17th, 1859. He goes over to the San Francisco Daily Evening Bulletin, and he hand delivers the following letter.
Hell yeah.
Quote.
I imagine.
Should I do it in English accent?
Whatever the fuck you want,
Well,
man.
he's from... Well, but then he was in South Africa.
He didn't change his accent.
It happens all the time, dude. At the peremptory request and desire of a large majority of the citizens of these United States, I, Joshua Norton, formerly of Algog Bay, Cape of Good Hope, and now for the last 9 years and 10 months past of San Francisco, California, declare and proclaim myself Emperor of these United States, and in virtue of the authority thereby in me vested, do hereby order and direct the representatives of the different states of the Union to assemble in Music Hall of this city on the first day of February next. Then and there to make such alterations in the existing laws of the Union as may ameliorate the evils under which the country is laboring, and thereby cause confidence to exist both home and abroad in our stability and integrity. Signed, Norton I, Emperor of the United States.
Good move.
First emperor.
That's right. And Fitch was the guy who ran that newspaper. And he printed that night. He was like, dude, this is good.
Yeah. Bingo.
He showed up like well dressed, like he was well put together, and they're like,
excuse me,
fucking nice. This is
Yeah.
too good to be true.
Check out my man right here.
And they put it in there,
nice
they published it as a joke, right?
Yeah.
But this was the beginning of his 21-year reign
As emperor?
as emperor.
Oh, my God.
And protector.
We'll get to that.
George Washington would be rolling.
Later, once Mexico invaded, I'm sorry, the United States. No, once France, Napoleon III invaded Mexico, is when he declared himself protector of Mexico as
Yes.
well.
Oh, okay. Smart
So that's
move.
where he differs from Trump.
Smart move.
I take care of Mexico. I'm the best. I protect the French. Nobody's protecting Mexico right now. It's basically me. I'm
So
the Emperor of the United States. I'm from San Francisco. Gay shit's fine.
In fact, I love it.
It's actually the best.
It's really cool.
Someone got any gay shit?
Send it to me.
I want to ask the guy at the Tiki Theater, got any gay shit? Made me so
well,
happy.
he's got poppers.
Got any gay shit? No. Bummer.
Oh, man. Bummer's right, pal.
So that's October. Okay, and then, so what's that? February? That's September 1859. In October 59, I mean, he would just issue proclamations like all the time.
Well, he's the emperor. What do you expect?
Yeah, you got to proclaim it.
Well, these are executive orders, basically.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can't have people forget about you.
October 12th, 1859, he establishes a proclamation in the newspaper to formally abolish the United States Congress. Pretty good.
Good idea.
In it, he observed that, quote, fraud and corruption prevent a fair and proper expression of the public voice, that open violation of the laws are constantly occurring, caused by mobs, parties, factions, and undue influence of political sects, that the citizen has not that protection of person and property to which he's entitled. Making a lot of sense. And I think that was also the one where he, I believe that's the one where he declared himself protector of Mexico.
I mean, right idea, but those people have the power, so it's going to be hard to,
Yeah, but he's
for you.
emperor, dude. And
Yes.
he has clothes.
Yeah.
I mean,
that we know of.
no, there's pictures.
No, he's got close.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's close.
Oh, yeah?
And he lives outside, which is nuts.
And then,
No wonder he needs clothes.
Yeah.
so then later, also in 1859, 1859 is when he declares himself protector of Mexico because Napoleon III.
Did they have anything to say about that? Mexico?
They loved it. They
Oh.
fucking hate the French.
Well,
That's why you have Cinco de Mayo. It's true.
No, I'm not saying that's not true.
I'm sure they were cool with this cool guy in San Fran,
okay.
which they stole from Mexico.
I don't think they heard about it.
Probably.
Like,
That's probably
It's the same thing as the Mormons baptizing Gandhi.
yeah. Later,
Do you think that
the entire
Depends where he
country
is.
the entire country would eventually hear about him.
Mexico?
Some of them, yeah. I think he actually spoke with the. He was in touch with some people from Mexico. We'll get to it.
Okay.
Then you remember sometime in late 1859, there was a man named John Brown.
Familiar.
Oh,
John Brown led a slave revolt.
yeah. John Brown's army.
Mm-hmm. And he was hanged.
That's
Really
right.
was.
Now, John Brown is what we call a real ass ally. None of you fucking losers out there that put a black fist on your phone or you buy coffee from a black-owned coffee shop.
Yeah.
You're not an ally.
John Brown rode to his fucking hanging like, here we go.
Here we
go. Yeah.
Can't
Oh, yeah.
wait to get hanged.
And his son died with him, and
I mean, and was encouraging slave revolts everywhere. I mean, this
Yeah.
dude's an ally, so go fuck yourself. You do nothing, people who want to feel good about yourself. Am I wrong?
I don't even know what you're pontificating about. I don't know what you're saying.
I'm saying that a lot of people call themselves ally by doing token acts.
Yes.
That's true.
Virtue signaling, so they can call themselves ally and feel good about themselves.
Right.
Me, I know that I'm 51% an ally because I don't do much.
Okay. Good.
Is that fair?
Yeah,
That's fair.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Norton, in December of 1859, Emperor Norton I dismissed Governor Wise of Virginia for hanging John Brown and appointed John C. Breckinridge of Kentucky to replace him.
It's a good move. I approve of that move. Didn't
Going to the bluegrass.
That's right.
It didn't. Nothing happened with that, did it?
I don't know. Probably not.
No.
I don't think they got word.
Yeah, I don't think he brought John Brown back to life.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not what the point was. The point
The
was
Emperor of the States has decreed that you're no longer.
yeah. Well, I better step down now. It's your turn there. Sir.
The following month, this would be November of 59. Norton found out that Congress wasn't dissolved. He was like, "Shit, bullshit. I'm the emperor. What do I have to do here?" He
What did I say?
he summoned the.
Dissolve the motherfucker.
Am I the emperor?
You got to dip him in acid. Norton summoned the army to depose the elected officials of the
move.
U.S. Congress.
Smart move.
Quote, whereas a body of men calling themselves the National Congress are now in session in Washington, D.C., in violation of our imperial edict of the 12th of October last, declaring said Congress abolished, whereas it is necessary for the repose of our empire that the said decree should be strictly complied with. Now, therefore, we do hereby order and direct Major General Scott, the commander-in-chief of our armies. Here's the thing. The president's the commander-in-chief.
Right.
Well, he's the emperor. Whatever he says.
In
is
my
law.
regime, he's the commander-in-chief.
Yeah. Technically, it's the president.
Commander-in-chief of our armies, immediately upon receipt of this, our decree to proceed with the suitable force and clear the halls of Congress.
Fuck out of here.
His orders were ignored by the army.
Once again.
And Congress likewise.
How?
What are they?
I don't know. Likewise, listen, it's a lot easier to declare yourself emperor if you get there elected once. And then you can just do it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what we're about.
Congress and the army didn't pay attention. I think the army, I don't even think Scott got the letter.
Yeah, heard about it. Yeah, of course.
Excuse me, sir. The emperor says you must take over.
Further decrees in 1860.
Is the emperor the woman I'm sleeping with?
Now you got to suck the emperor's dick. 1860, he ordered the dissolution of the republic and forbade the assembly of any members of the former Congress. And he would just be always kind of against the elected leaders of America for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Straight up dictator.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was just so disappointed with these pieces of shit running the country at the time. And how, one of the things that...
Are you doing the apology for fascism?
No, not at all.
Too slow moving. What?
Empire is different than fascism.
He meant well.
Fascism wasn't invented until the 1900s.
Okay, what's Caesar then?
What's being a dick?
That's an empire.
Okay.
Yeah. It's different. Being an autocrat is not the same as being a fascist. There are very minute differences.
Okay.
You can have a benevolent dictator. A monarchy is not fascism, right? So there are little differences with these things.
Yes. A lot of the growth of England was that thing of democracy over the monarchy. It was the expansion of that versus, and to the point where you go well, you just sitting there and look nice and wave your scepter at people. That was.
Well, wouldn't we be better if we had an Emperor Norton as just a fucking Captain America,
I don't
an
know.
Uncle Sam type figure, just like a, hey, all right. You still have checks and balances.
But are there any of these proclamations that he's making that are positive?
Yes, I will tell you.
Okay.
But one, dissolve Congress. Yes.
No. But that is still
That's still dissolution of
that's
democracy.
still
No,
it's
not.
still a negative step, not in an.
You mean an additional step?
Yeah.
Yes, there will be. Another example of not what you were saying, but another example was to establish, to dissolve the two-party system.
Yes, I did hear about that.
Because the founding, I think it was Jefferson that warned against factions.
Yes, and then they all immediately fell into one.
They were dead by the time people.
No. Kind of. They were all like trying to be like part of like the popular club.
Jefferson and Madison immediately fell into factions and split against each other.
There was a
but I mean, it's not like it is now.
Well, no, actually, earlier there was at least sort of 3, right? There was kind of,
and you could shoot each other.
No, but it still always came down to 2, really. Is like were the Whigs any different?
Whig, Federalist, Republican.
But even then, it still was generally 2.
When it's 2, it's bad, dude.
Yeah,
it just becomes a zero-sum game, and you are just contrarian. I kind of like how they do it over there in Germany. They got like 10, 12, 30.
No, I mean, in most of the parliamentary things, it's a multitude.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very
But
different.
it's still very common that it comes down to
2
conservative labor,
of course,
or Fianna Fáil, Fine
but
Gael.
part of it is that you have to
do a coalition.
You have to compete, or you have to recruit.
Yes.
The people from certain sides. Like, hey, at least we're the ones that kind of agree here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of it is also that you don't have a single person. You elect a group, and they decide who's in charge, as opposed to voting for that one person. And then if things can't, if certain things, agreements can't be reached, the entire thing is dissolved.
Right.
And you start over.
Yeah, like Israel has forming a new government, and you can have referendums just to get rid of people in other countries too. Like, it's not an impeachment process. It's just like all right, we're voting again, dude.
Yeah, I mean, in the American government, if nothing is ever done, everybody is still just reelected.
Can we do a break and come back?
Yes, we should.
Let's break. We'll be right back, folks.
You got it.
And we're back. So he's issuing all these decrees. The people aren't going with the program. They don't understand he's the emperor.
The powers that be.
Yes.
Now, people on the stream, they fucking love this guy.
Josh Norton.
Dude, Emperor Norton.
Is he still going? Is he going to the newspaper and they're just publishing this shit? Is that still happening?
Yes. But then there would also be, because...
was it with like the funny papers though, or was it?
No, these are real ass newspapers.
It'd be like Heathcliff, and then it'd be him, and then
Family Circus,
and then it'd be funky
editorial
Winkerbean
by Josh Norton.
Later,
Josh Norton.
I don't know.
No, some people like
Jay Norton.
You know, as he gained popularity, because what he would do was he wore basically what apparently by the time this is now the 1860s, so he would buy like he'd go to secondhand stores and buy army surplus Union Army stuff.
Right,
so that's what he's wearing in a lot of his pictures. I'll show you guys. And then he wore a beaver skin hat with peacock feathers. And people, he would walk around town. I think sometimes on a carriage or something, but he'd walk around town looking nice. He had a cane and all that stuff. And
cane is nice.
Cane is nice. And he would he'd inspect the streets, and then he would like write letter. If something was fucked up on the street, he'd write it to the mayor, and like he'd just talk. He'd talk to anybody who would listen. About local politics, stuff. I mean, he wasn't stupid. He clearly had a vocabulary.
He was fussy.
He might have been a little bit eccentric or delusional.
Would you say any of this was present before he lost all of his money?
As far as we know, no. It could be that the stress of that kind of like total shakeup of your identity might have catapulted him.
I think so.
Living in the boarding house,
and then just being like doing like the Office Space thing. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But also like the thing of like I am whatever I say I am. Like, and I've always been raised to be like, I am kind of a elite.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't growing up. He only spent 3 years as a wealthy businessman in San Francisco.
Right.
But he made a lot of contacts, and he knew all those people, and he knew all the places that ran them. So it's just that his net worth changed, and maybe his outlook on reality and life.
Okay, sure.
I don't know. I think he was a little bit too old to have like schizophrenia pop up. Usually that happens in your teens and 20s.
Sure.
But maybe he just had a bit of a break.
A little bit of a dissociative.
Yeah, just like
yes.
And so he would engage with everybody in town. He'd go to bar, and like, here's the thing: a lot of places in San Francisco and much of the West during this time, they would offer, a small free lunch if you bought a beer or whatever.
Those are the days.
And so with him, there is the kind of the mystique that he was so well beloved, he could go into all these restaurants and they'd give him free food.
Mm-hmm.
That was later, but he did survive basically on no income by going around and asking for their citizens' dues or their taxes. Because he's the emperor.
Yeah.
And then he used that money to like buy a drink at a bar or whatever. And then he'd eat food.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
No, but as emperor, also being like, well, I'm not ashamed to use Dave's money for the sandwich and Tim's money for the beer. And, it's a republic we've got here and it takes all of us.
But yeah, there's kind of a thing there too, though, where you go like, it's the fascinating part about the story to me. And, what Jeff Sewing was saying about it is like everybody just going along with it. It's like kind of like it's a profile in eccentricity, but it's also like a profile in like
San Francisco's acceptance.
San Francisco's just.
Are we making fun of this mentally ill guy? Or are we just happy he's around?
He's not causing any problems.
Right. He's not president.
But yeah, it's also kind of one of those things where you go like, when Nabila was here, she was going like, these guys outside the fucking the Army Navy store that were like homeless on Hollywood Boulevard, and like they would kind of patrol.
Yeah,
they would protect me.
Yeah,
and she was like, honestly, they could be vets with PTSD or just homeless people that had
want something to do,
never been in the
decided
military,
they were
just need some purpose.
But no matter what, I was grateful. That they kind of had my back in this bedlam type scenario, you know? So there's a thing there where you go like, is everybody just going like, okay, yeah, this guy's crazy, whatever,
Yeah. He was charming.
Right.
And he was, also this was a time in San Francisco where there were a lot of these street characters. I haven't looked them all up yet, but there's one guy who's called like the King of Pain, the Money King, the Complete Unknown.
Right. Yes, and these are these are all like almost boxing nicknames.
Right.
The Complete Unknown is such a weird nickname.
Amazing.
No one knows who this guy is.
Yeah.
But he also issued a mandate to the Roman Catholic Church and Protestant churches to publicly ordain him as emperor.
Yeah.
He was a staunch advocate for separation of church and state, but he's like, if I'm going to be emperor, you guys kind of have to be in on this.
Right.
But he was like, he was very progressive in the way he felt about people.
Right.
For example, most of his proclamations, here, I'll give you a few just kind of like of the wokish ones, right? Or the prescient ones. He was an adversary of corruption and fraud of all kinds, whether it was political, corporate, or personal. He was a voice for fair treatment and legal protections for immigrants and racial ethnic minorities. Like, during this time, people hated the Chinese.
Yes.
There. I mean, a Chinese person could not give testimony or witness at a trial.
Yes.
So that basically means fuck them up.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to a Chinaman.
yeah.
They can't show up to court and defend themselves. Fuck
Right,
it.
right.
And he was like, no, this is wrong.
Yes.
They deserve that. Native Americans, same. I think, what did he say about Native Americans? He said, with respect to Native Americans, all quote-unquote Indian agents and other parties connected with frauds against the Indian tribes were to be publicly punished before as many Indian chiefs as could be assembled together.
Wow.
And I think there was a law recently passed about certain crimes being committed in Indian territories or Native American reservations. They're like, oh, you got to go deal with them. Like if you're one of us and you fuck something up on an Indian reservation,
You gotta
go
go
to
there.
the air trail. Yeah. He said, in the eyes of the emperor will be upon anyone who shall counsel any outrage or wrong on the Chinese. He was a religious humanist and pluralist who was, again, church-state separation, except when it came to being emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And he warned against sectarianism and Puritanism. He did not say he was the Holy Roman Emperor or he just said, I'm the emperor. Jews, Protestants, all of that. We're all
that ill shit.
all that ill shit.
Gay guys.
So religiously, he's pretty cool.
He prohibited the enforcement of state Sunday laws.
You're no
which
shopping, no
which
drinking.
discriminated against Germans and Jews.
Ironically, what?
I think there are certain you couldn't do certain things on.
So I mean, for instance, Massachusetts, they still don't sell alcohol on Sundays, I believe.
Which discriminates against the Germans.
well, and the Jews who run the store.
And the Jews who know how to have a good time, you know.
Okay, no.
There's no Manischewitz you can buy on Sundays. No, it's in the supermarket.
Oh, because of the separation church, it's just going okay. You.
And if it's a law that discriminates a certain group, like
Germans and Jews, what the fuck?
well, there's a lot of Jewish Germans.
Well, what was the discrimination? I don't get it.
Well,
I don't know. We gotta look up some history. I don't know.
It must be alcohol sales type shit, something like that.
Yeah, and
Or Sunday laws. It might also may just be Sabbath laws,
Yes.
and for the Jews, Saturday's a Sabbath. So it may be something like that.
Right. Yeah.
He supported women's right to vote, fair taxes and basic services. He was all about well-maintained streets, streetcars, ferries, and trains.
Yeah.
And then it's a couple of his biggest proclamations were
Which are around what time? 1900 or
no. He didn't make it that far, pal.
1860, 1870.
He
pal. Calling guys pal.
Hey, buddy. Hey, guy.
I was too hopeful.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Was that around the Second World War or stuff?
1869, Norton demanded that Sacramento clean its muddy streets and place gas lights on the street leading to the Capitol. August 1st, 1870, he's listed in the census, which is with the occupation of emperor, living at 624 Commercial Street, with the with a parenthetical of insane.
The census people will be like, well, I have a psychological census for you.
That's so good.
There was
This is the crazy district.
I don't know if it was the Palace Hotel or the Grand Hotel that was being built at the time in 1870, and this was it was going to be the best hotel in the country.
Ooh.
And he issued a decree demanding that quarters would be built for him and the Emperor Suite.
Sure, yeah.
But I mean, hey, come on.
It's worth a shot. What do you have to lose?
Under penalty of being banished.
Did they do it?
I don't think so, buddy.
Well, he didn't.
You don't call me pal and buddy.
Now check this out. So in
You guys are pals.
In 1872, these are in March and then in September. These are big ones. These are big ones. Okay.
All right, hit me.
1872, March 23rd, he decreed that a suspension bridge be built as soon as convenient between Oakland Point and Goat Island, and then on to San Francisco. That's the Bay Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Bay Bridge. And then he also said, I order a survey to determine if a bridge or tunnel underwater would be the best way. And that's the Bay, what's it called? The Transit Bay 2? There is an underwater train in San Francisco.
The BART running
Fuck
through
off,
there?
really?
It's part of BART.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's an underwater tunnel train down there.
Sick.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I didn't know that either.
I mean, I probably took it one time and had no idea.
Yeah. It moves quickly.
Oh, yeah. September 21st, 1872. I ordered a survey to determine if a bridge or tunnel would be the best possible means. Yada, yada, yada. Let's see. Yeah, man. Pretty woke of a guy, right? And then, so here's what happens. Then like, and then he's like walking around town.
It's kind of his thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he liked
Yeah. Well, he had no choice.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, the streets are broken. We need better streetcars. That's where I am.
Need your taxes.
Yeah.
I'll read you the decree on the bridge if you want. You want that?
Yeah, give me. You won't. I know you. You chicken.
Pal.
Oh, he also decreed that there should be a League of Nations.
Yeah.
That's like 50 years before the League of Nations.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
About-
he was highly forward thinking.
About 80 before a League of Their Own. Continue, will you?
It's a good joke, Matt.
Thank you.
So he got kind of pissed that like there was no prompt obedience by the authorities. You know?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
I
why
can
aren't you
imagine.
assholes listening to
The
me?
frustration. Where's Congress?
Whereas
That's weird.
Whereas we issued our decree ordering the citizens of San Francisco and Oakland to appropriate funds for the survey of a suspension bridge from Oakland Point to Goat Island. That's Terminal Island. Also for a tunnel. That's the tunnel you go through into the city after the Bay Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And to ascertain which is the best project, and whereas the said citizens have hitherto neglected to notice our said decree. And whereas we are determined our authority shall be fully respected, now, therefore, we do hereby command the arrest of by the army of both the boards of the city fathers if they persist in neglecting our decrees. Given under our royal hand and seal and at San Francisco this 17th day of September 1872.
Do you think if he got any of these people to surrender and stuff, he would just like beheaded them in front of everybody in San Francisco?
No, because check what happened one time. Check me out like this. He's walking around town. So back in San Francisco at the time, it's still a small city, 25,000.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's 3 years later, and it's, let's be generous and say 100.
Go crazy.
Go crazy.
That's fucking Prince going on right now. He's the Prince of the United States.
Crazy. Let's get nuts.
There was a lot of vigilante justice in San Francisco and the West at the time. A lot of lynch mobs.
Cowboy bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And because, there wasn't the tax revenue to have an adequate police force and all that shit. So there was the San Francisco police or sheriffs or whatever. And then they had these things called locals. Are you familiar with these guys?
Oh.
So locals were just like people that were deputized by the police, but paid for by the business owners in that district.
Oh, so basically Pinkertons.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
What
fun.
a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like worse than Pinkertons because they're cops. Like it's not like they're feds going out to like.
No, Pinkertons are that too.
I know, but
suck dick.
Yeah, you're right.
The corporate FBI existed before the FBI.
Yeah, but
Killing
these guys
striking
weren't even
workers.
corporate. They were just goons.
Yeah.
Like at least say what you want about the Pinkertons. At least they had a hierarchical structure.
Yeah, part of their structure was, you see this family of striking workers?
Yeah,
What if we
yeah.
burn their cabin down with them in it?
See these guys that don't like being in this caving in mine? Beat them back into it.
Yeah.
So anyways,
It's for their health.
they arrested him for vagrancy and lunacy.
See, of course, these guys just don't
Because
get it.
What happened
they didn't
was
get it.
he walked into one of his usual hotels he would go to read the newspaper because a lot of And, you know, he probably smelled like shit. And
What's relative?
looked like shit.
It's just smells.
And this is also
It only
like,
smells.
It only smells.
It only smells. This just in. Extra, it's only smells. Turn to page 3 for its own. It's just like Paul.
I think I saw a license plate that said. I don't know if it said only smells or just smells.
Oh, nice.
God, I would die.
Well, it's because justice is blind and all they can do is smell.
Yeah, that's all factory.
So he's in the hotel.
And,
he's reading the paper.
and a local, meaning this local police, not, I mean,
Stinkerton.
Hey, nice.
they were called locals. There weren't official police. They were just paid.
Stinkerton's good.
Yeah, it's a private security guard that has some state authority.
It's the bare modicum of it. It's like we were saying about.
And I don't even think that they were like, they didn't have to go through like fucking basic. There's just
What?
It's
Right,
like a rent-a-cop who can arrest you.
Do you know who was exactly the guy that robbed the Brinks and then made the big famous gay porno?
Mhm.
And it was
I just read about him again.
and it was in San Francisco area or like Oakland area.
Mhm.
But he was doing that thing where like basically like neighborhoods they would hire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like
LA's got that.
you would pass like some background checks that like
Maybe.
yeah, but the local police you would not.
No.
It was
Can you hold a gun?
yeah, it was like such
It was
bullshit.
bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. And so
hold you.
they arrest him for vagrancy and lunacy, and they like commit him to involuntary psychiatric treatment and stuff.
Jesus Christ.
But the fucking Evening Chronicle hears about this shit.
Mhm.
The emperor's
Dude, and
incarcerated.
10,000 people show
Shut the
up.
fuck up.
10,000 people show up and are like, you can't do this to the emperor.
Hell no.
Hell no. And so the chief of police, who's an actual cop,
No, excuse me.
is like, yo, dude, you got to let him go and publicly apologize. And the chief of police, too, apologize. They let him go. And the emperor...
He made a speech.
He's so... he makes a declaration issuing... thanking the chief of police and the citizens of his empire and issuing an imperial pardon to the local who arrested him.
Oh my God. Is this his first speech? Like
No,
first...
it's not a speech.
No, I was imagining him climbing.
No,
out of
I
the
mean,
jail
he would
and-
talk to people.
No,
Like,
sure, but
It was a
I
decree.
I like the idea of him.
No, they
holding
published
court.
it in the newspaper and shit.
Yeah.
And then every day, ever since that, the chief of police made sure that any police officer that saw him on the street had to stop and salute him.
So
Wait,
dude,
hold on,
that's
hold
fucking
on.
incredible.
That's amazing.
That's fucking incredible. And bananas. And like this they like Jeff Sewing again was going he's like dude I just don't understand how everybody was like going along with it.
Well,
Like,
because he was a harmless.
but that's what I want to examine right here right now like real quick. I'm going to let you continue. But was it one of these things where everybody's going like it really is sheer lawlessness here. Everything is really corrupt. We are kind of a neighborhood though. We are a community and like the one thing we can depend on is we all kind of take care of this dude and he thinks he takes care of us. Like,
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
I think it was kind of like almost like we're deciding we're a community and we're deciding that
And this guy's okay.
and that this guy's okay.
Yeah.
And we're a little bit of a rebel area, like, you know, like, and we've decided that.
And we know that he's past his prime. We know he's a little bit off. It's kind of like how people treated Ron Jeremy up until 10 years ago. Like, we know you're broke, but you used to be somebody. I mean, now we found out he's a fucking sick rapist guy, but like, I bet you Ron Jeremy ate for free for a long time at places.
It's kind of how people treat Andy Dick.
Yeah.
Except there's more hangers on than people because he's too much of a mess. He's not a gentle giant like this man is.
Like thousands of people coming out to be like, oh hell no, like for this guy, like
because he would. I mean,
maybe there's not a good example.
I mean, he was. You know, there's beat cops. This guy was a beat emperor.
Yeah,
he was the ambassador of the town to the town, right? Like. it'd be like having Uncle Sam walk around. And like he was also kind of like had a voice in people's ear. I mean, it's just a cartoon character, but like,
right, but there's a very fine balance there where you go like, oh, this isn't like an annoying guy.
And he wasn't appointed.
Yeah, and he's not asking for stuff so much. He's kind of like, he's doing this.
And it's San Francisco. And there are a number of these weird San Francisco street eccentrics and even dogs, which we can get to too.
Save that for the Patreon. That's good.
Yeah. But this, you have to also consider that this is the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, the Civil War is over in the 70s, right? Yeah, okay. And the, did I say some shit about the Chinese? I said people hated them and that they should all have, there was like a fucking mob about to lynch some Chinese guys and they're like, beating the shit out of him and fighting, and he just shows up in full regalia and gets on a soapbox and just starts reciting the Lord's Prayer until it stops.
Wow.
Wait, who's trying to
just San Francisco
the whites?
Mob. The whites are trying to.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple of Chinese guys that they just weren't fond of because they were Chinese.
Yeah, these white guys had a bad day.
And here comes the Rice King of San Francisco.
And what was he looking like? Was he looking like Napoleon? Like,
no, more of a Union soldier with a feather on his cap because he basically had a Union.
And none of the garments are in good shape or well cleaned.
No. But after the next thing I was going to tell you.
Well, go with it.
So 1870s, right? Now it's the 1870s. And he's getting really popular. And then, like, you have to understand that the Transcontinental Railroad is being completed by the Chinese and Indians and all sorts of people. But the Chinese worked for free and died more than anybody else. And its terminus is where?
San Francisco.
Oakland.
Ah, really?
San Francisco of the East.
It's because there's the bay.
Right.
It ends in Oakland. So then they're like, oh, man, maybe this Bay Bridge is a good idea. But people would come across the ferry and stuff. But so anyways, the fact that the train made it to Oakland meant San Francisco was now a tourist town.
Mm-hmm.
And he became the mascot of San Francisco for not just the country, but maybe worldwide. And so there were industries basically built around cottage industries around him. So like restaurants would put up pictures of him saying like, oh,
right.
You know, this is his favorite dish here. He comes here all the time.
Jack Lemmon eats here, and so does the Emperor of San Francisco, of America, yeah.
And
Mickey Rooney.
And then some news...
Walter Matthau.
Young Walter Matthau.
Some other newspapers would start publishing false decrees of his.
Of course.
Just that fit their own agenda.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
One of them is almost assuredly fake, but it is good. And that is...
In that it looks like it's the real thing?
No, there's a couple of things about the diction that make it seem like it's not him. But it would be good if it was him.
It would be good.
Whoever, after due and proper warning, shall be heard to utter the abominable word Frisco, which has no linguistic or other warrant, shall be deemed guilty of a high misdemeanor and shall pay into the imperial treasury as penalty the sum of $25.
Oh, wow.
Which is $500 now.
Yeah. Just for saying the word Frisco.
Yeah, I can't say that shit, bro.
Well, I'm in Frisco Bay.
So, you know, like I said,
frisked.
he got arrested and all that stuff. And so he'd be walking around, and then...
Do you think Frisco is bad to say?
It's stupid.
Just make it. I mean,
say San Francisco or Cisco or SF.
I think it's the same thing with like people with tattoos are like I hate the word tats. They're like tats.
Yeah.
They're like drives me up the fucking wall.
People who are fraternities hate frat.
Really?
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, but you're in a frat, bro.
That's why I'm saying it, because you're in a frat.
Yeah.
Frat it. So then after, so he's like, all right, I'm clearly I am part of this town. as much as this town is a part of me.
One of the baddest motherfuckers of all time.
And so he does start getting, like, they had these 2 stray dogs, Bummer and Lazarus, that also had paper articles written about him. They just started hanging out with him.
Bummer
And Lazarus.
That was a good name.
And they were 2 dogs that would just accompany, like, they were not his
dogs.
They were named as his dogs, but they weren't. They were just fucking other strays that would roll up with him and stuff. And he'd go into restaurants with them. And so eventually he did eat at some restaurants for free, aside from the ones that gave away free lunches.
Yes.
But it was mainly publicity for these restaurants.
Right.
Because he was basically like the real
celeb.
He was the Smokey the Bear.
Yeah.
Except real of the San Francisco. And
kind of like, you're coming to the city and part of the circus is this character.
And you'll find him.
And you haven't really seen the city until you've encountered this guy.
Yeah. In the sights of San Francisco, I mean, you go, there's Height and Ashbury. But before that, it's...
Right.
See if you can find Waldo.
Yes, with his 2 dogs, and he's protecting him in Mexico, too.
Follow your nose.
He's got a striped shirt.
There was a caricaturist named Edward Jump who would do a lot of, like...
Dickie J.
Drawings of, not just people's, but, like, portraits or sceneries and stuff. And then, when Norton was getting so popular, he just started doing Norton. And Norton and Him and the Dogs. And that is what got put up in all these places all around town. And he has a very, like, unmissable look.
Yeah.
He's got a big, like, walrus mustache with the chops that come down, a Union hat, and then, like, after the Union, I got a peacock and all that.
Did the Union hat have that thing where it's like a can opener, open the top of it, and it just kind of...
No.
Oh, okay, not that great hobo look.
No, not the great hobo look. But he kind of got like, he won favor, strangely, with the authorities. One, the cops started to like him.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, he's walking the streets when they're not. I mean, I guess maybe back then they were, but he was just a good, hey man, some shit going down on fucking Grand. Like, he wasn't.
That's kind of the thing, yeah.
He was their eyes and ears, and people liked him, and he was eventually. So eventually his clothes got like tattered and worn and shit because he got them secondhand, and he really didn't shower,
and he third-handed them,
and he was poor and shit. And the city controllers bought him a brand new suit and hat and gold-tipped cane. And the army officers at the Presidio gave him gold epaulets. Like, he walked around like new man.
Yeah.
And you can see that, like, the pictures through the years over that, like, 10-year, 20-year period. Like, in the beginning, he was, like, gaunt. Like, pretty malnourished, not eating a lot. And then, as he got more popular, the picture, he gets a little more, portly and robust.
There's kind of a thing there where it's kind of like they're basically awarding a guy who said he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Well, kind of. I mean,
isn't it?
I think a lot of what is happening there, though, is
but he's got no superpowers.
the people in those positions, by the time they, especially as he continues to do the same thing, eventually the people in those positions are new. And he's new to them, or they grew up with him. So suddenly they have these positions of power.
Hey, I remember you.
Where they're used to the guy, and so he's not this weirdo that. So imagine you're in power and this weirdo shows up. You're like, you don't belong here. But imagine that guy was already there, and you know him, and then you're in power.
Imagine if Santa Claus is real,
but also
and he walks around your town.
But I think it's also a thing where it's like, we are kind of a city of strays already. And we go like, what's like the one thing we can believe in? Like we were saying in the,
yes and
in
no,
the connections episode, we go like, we only believe in gold because everybody says it's going to work, like whatever. But like,
he really didn't have much power. Like,
no, he had no power at all. But everybody goes like,
we accept him.
I'm from here. You're from there. Like whatever. Like, and even he thinks all government is corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to trust in him just because we we know he's walking the streets and actually kind of gives a shit about the city.
You know, this it makes me think of something that I actually read about later. I read something yesterday that made me laugh because you remember the guardian angels of the subway in New York.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing, but not totally.
Right.
A little bit of a vigilante thing going on, but everybody was happy to see them.
Yeah.
Two of those guys were twin brothers. They died of COVID because they were anti-vaxxers. Just happened.
The guardian angels?
Uh-huh.
The founders?
It's the two guys in the picture.
Yeah, they're guardian angels.
The only guardian angels, they really went like all the way to London and shit. Like,
I'm just looking at the
Well,
two
they
guys
went all
that
the way to Angel. So it's
so like I think it might have started in Manhattan or whatever.
Yeah.
But it went like
viral.
it was this thing where like
It's like AA.
nobody believed in law and order, and crime was at its
Yeah.
zenith, and like fucking
Bernie gets capped a couple of kids, and that is something. So he gets pissed off. So he's kind of like, man, everybody's profiting off me except me. Like, yeah, I get the free lunch here and there, and I get, but like,
I know this is going.
So he decides, he gets in contact
With the U.S. Mint?
no, no, he, I think he got in contact with Edward Jump, the guy that did all the caricatures.
No.
And that guy knew the publisher of this newspaper, which was a black-owned abolitionist newspaper. So this may be a little bit before the Civil War ended. So but it's around that time. And he gets in touch with this newspaper and says, "You are going to be my direct source for my proclamation."
Lying to the people, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Anything else is fake. Also, who prints your shit? And so he gets in touch with the printer and he goes, "All right, I'm issuing my own currency." And they're like fucking Norton bucks, dude. This is the Norton money. And you could buy them from, so he knew that he was a tourist attraction. They were marketing him all around the world.
Yeah.
And people came to see him.
Wow.
And so he would sell them these 50, like, I don't know how much they were, but like, and then they're all personally signed. They're actually quite beautiful.
Yeah.
And,
it's probably just to keep him in some fucking boarding room.
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably, like, he's not living high on the fucking hog.
No.
He's in some fucking boarding room, and most of his days are spent wandering the streets, acting like he's the emperor.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like the positive version of the Emperor Wears No Clothes.
Yes.
It's like the most heartwarming version of that tale you could possibly imagine.
It really is.
The Emperor wears no clothes, and we don't care because we like him.
Right.
And like, also just like, like I'm saying, I think there's something about the personality profile of the city.
Yes.
Our friend Will was saying, from NorCal, he was going like, California, like, originally was supposed to be like some kind of rebellion against the rest of the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
I guess the rest of the country at the time.
And when they talk about like, in LA, like, don't get dressed up. Like, there's $1 million deals done in jeans.
Right.
And, like,
that's a weather thing, but
also it's
laid back.
It is a lifestyle thing. And I think there was just some kind of thing where they were going like,
what if we had a little bit of the old world?
It's all fucking bullshit. What if the Emperor was one we chose, and one that like we could easily laugh at, and instead we choose to be like, no, that's our guy, and
he chose it.
By God, you're not gonna fucking lock him up.
Don't you fucking touch my sweet
and
angel.
like what authority is more valid than what we decide.
Yeah.
Like, it is such
he was a living mascot. I had a guy like this in my high school named Maurice, and he was kind of slow. Hey, Aaron, did you watch SmackDown last night? I mean, he was kind of weird, but like, and he ran for fucking like school president and shit. Of course he lost, but like, he was just a little slow.
Right.
But everybody liked him.
Yes.
And it was like, dude, people would invite Maurice to parties.
Yeah.
Like, he worked at Ralph's bagging shit till like now. And dude, you see Maurice, you say hi. Like,
Yeah.
he never had there was, I mean, maybe there's something, but like, there
No,
was
it's
never,
just one of those things you get like, are you cool?
Yeah.
are you
Are you fucking
how
cool?
is your heart good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you smell like shit?
Fine. Is your
Fine.
heart good?
Yeah.
Come on in.
I mean, just, every once in a while, mix in a shower and a salad.
Yeah.
But, and so,
Well, yeah.
Shower in the salad, anybody?
Toss it up, baby.
Same time, maybe.
so,
Yeah, I like
he tried, he would write letters to like, he wrote letters to the Emperor of Brazil.
I'm also an emperor, sir.
Brazil had an emperor at the time.
Yeah, I think it was an emperor at the time, or yeah, but it was. Yeah, I think there was an emperor. I mean, there was no Brazilian empire, but it might have been a Portuguese
Sure.
emperor regent or something like
Right.
that. And he wrote Queen Victoria multiple letters suggesting they could marry to strengthen the ties between their nations. It would be never responded to.
What's that about?
Rude.
He wrote a lot of letters to King Kamehameha V of Hawaii
Nice.
regarding an estate there, presumably for retirement. Near the end of King Kamehameha's reign, when he visited
Visited SF?
the United States, he refused to recognize the U.S. democratic government, instead opting only to recognize Norton as the sole leader of the U.S.
Yes. The system works.
Shut the fuck up.
It's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If that's not the Aloha spirit, I don't know what is.
That's the power of letter writing.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty cool.
Mahalo.
Dude.
And so
Dude, that's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's honestly the best thing I've
This
ever
guy's
heard.
my dude right here, bro.
Where is your Emperor Norton?
I don't understand your democracies. I know about vagrants that declare themselves.
He would write to France and stuff too, and they didn't really give a shit.
Too busy in their balloons.
And so, when San Francisco bought him a new suit, by the way, those bucks, those Norton bucks, they're collector's items,
Oh, I bet.
and they sell for like tens of thousands of
Oh, I
dollars.
bet.
I know how many was there, and what did they go for in the day? Like
I think they were 50 cents.
better than kicking the balls.
I mean, the thing is, like, restaurants that were fans of his would take that as tender.
Yes.
And he also wouldn't have to pay at those places. But it's not like he was fucking eating.
It was kind of to make him feel like he paid.
Yeah, or that,
It's
like,
kinda
this is your town, dude. The currency with you isn't necessarily charisma, it's heart.
Duh.
Right?
That's good.
He's just seemed like a really good dude. So
You know what it's a little reminiscent of, and I don't know if you've seen but it's the guy that's just like on a stoop drinking but they call him the mayor and Do the Right Thing.
yeah.
He's the mayor.
Yeah.
That's how when I started reading this, or even when I heard about this character, I always thought about Terrence. Because he's the mayor of Echo Park.
yes.
But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here because it's actually toward the end of his life and it's getting late.
It's getting late.
He would often participate in public debates. I mean, he
Coherent.
yeah, he was coherent, and maybe he just realized, like, it's a good shtick, be an emperor. Sometimes there are people who choose to be homeless because they're just beach bums and they like that.
Mm-hmm.
This guy might have been just an SF bum and like, all right, this is kind of my deal.
It's kind of one of those things I've seen some guys like in Austin, same kind of thing, where they're like, bro, I fucking live outside, but like also like this is my community and I stand
And I
for
make
it.
so much in cans. And I'm like, dude, I made a bunch of money in the tech boom. Like, I don't need it. There's just people like that.
Yeah.
There are rumors that he for a while, there were rumors that he was actually a rich eccentric, but
They should have looked at his rice books.
in, I think it was 1870, I'm sorry. While he was still alive, by the way,
I hope so.
there were stage plays and musicals written about him. There was The Gold Demon. He met a few times Mark Twain. Mark Twain said something about him, like in a town and in a country full of imposters and sycophants and
Opportunists.
characters that are just only looking to enrich themselves or line their own pockets. The emperor himself seems the only one who's even possibly even close to worthy of the name type of thing. Like he said, he was a really he was just he was not a scam artist.
I don't remember exactly Mark Twain's timeline, but
He wrote the character of the king in Huckleberry Finn after him.
oh,
Dude,
but-
that's so sick.
but I think he might have been out here. It might have been like
He lived in
a cub reporter
He
in
did.
San Francisco.
Yeah, he lived
at
in
that
San Francisco
time.
for a very long. Yeah.
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 And so when in January of 1880, he was on a walk to the it's either like a debate at Hastings or the Academy of Natural Sciences. He was going to go attend a lecture or a debate there, and about a block away, he stroked out, passed out, fell on the sidewalk, and there was a cop there saluting him.
Shut the fuck up, really?
Yeah, and rushed over to him, but he called the ambulance carriage, but he was pronounced dead at the scene.
Oh, God.
And
They brought him right to the Museum of Natural Sciences. And
there were over 100 obituaries written about him across the country
wow.
that day.
Jesus Christ.
The San Francisco Chronicle wrote the headline, "Le roi est mort."
Nice.
The king is dead.
Fuck.
And the line read in the obit. Let me find this right.
God, that is fucking wild. Across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The line written was that was San Francisco Chronicle.
Mhm.
The Morning Call wrote Norton the First, by the grace of God, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, departed this life. He was buried in the Masonic Cemetery. Numbers differ, but at least 10 to 20,000 people showed up to the funeral.
Mm,
The population of San Francisco at that time was like 100,000.
no.
I'm trying to find the right quote of what they said about him in the article of his death.
Did you say why he became protector of Mexico, too?
Because he didn't like that Napoleon invaded.
All right. That's right. Yes.
He said, "Fuck you, you French motherfucker. It's my town." Hold on.
I imagine for all those papers like across the country, it's like that's one of those like bonus stories where they're like, "Hey, look at the stuff that's happening out there."
There's
Isn't it
tons of
wacky?"
plaques. There's tons of bars about it. There's tons of monuments. His biographer, William Drury, wrote that, by the way, the book on Amazon is $600. Can't get it.
Yeah, it's not.
I couldn't read it the other day. San Francisco lived off Emperor Norton, not Norton off San Francisco, because of all the souvenirs and the people that came from all around because of the railroad to come see the town that had Emperor Norton.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible.
If only he had a TikTok.
That's fucking cool, man.
If only he had a watch. I'm
TikTok.
trying to find the
But it's a little bit of, I guess, toy Texan spirit, isn't it? Where it's like, oh, well, fucking like, San Francisco's doing its own thing here. Like,
Well, yeah.
Texas is far more like serious about like, oh, we're our own republic, but like,
It was a good time. You go out there for some goofs, you know, and you take the train as far as it can go. You get off of there, and then you get into you cross the
yeah,
into San Francisco, and you maybe you run into this wacky guy.
But I guess I think there's also like just this thing of like, you know,
It's another world.
it takes a minute to assimilate into an immigrant city like New York has, and by then
Sure.
it kind of has, right? And it's always changing, of course. But it'd be kind of newer to San Francisco, and you go like, oh, well, what if we all kind of like rallied around this one mascot to make it be like, okay, we do know that we are kind of like a hodgepodge city, but
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what you're kind of leading to is like there was no established American history of San Francisco, and
Yes.
so he became part of. You know, it was like I was saying earlier, like the people who were elevated to the positions of power. He was already part of the history for them,
right.
So so everybody who. By the time he was getting older, all of those people elevated those positions, and all these people were basically they grew up with him,
Right.
And so they became his champion
He's
because
with me.
he was part of their
Yeah.
mythos of the city itself.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like how it's not the same, but Mike Tyson took care of and paid for Iceberg Slim's funeral.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I know you from like growing up, like in my childhood and stuff, and I know you're kind of fucked up now, but like you don't have to worry anymore, and I'm gonna make sure you have a real nice ass funeral. It's happened to him. He died when the coroner or the police went to his place. His landlord said he was around 65. Didn't know. There was like $2 coins in his house, pictures of Queen Victoria, a couple of Kane's hats, and his uniform. Like
Wow.
he was broke.
Yeah.
Here's what the call said about him after in that obituary. In the Le Roi est mort article. On the reeking pavement, in the darkness of a moonless night, under the dripping rain, Norton I, by the grace of God, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, departed this life. And then the city paid for a plot of land at the Masonic Cemetery, got him a rosewood casket, and buried him there. And then years later, after they did something with that area, and so they exhumed a bunch of bodies. No, they exhumed a bunch of bodies, including his, and took him to Woodlawn.
Do you know why it was Masonic? Oh, like
They were just. I mean, he was not a Mason. I can tell you that, unless he might have been for those 3 years. But
Or they just let it.
The Masonic Lodge,
Honorary member.
Yeah, I mean the Masonic Cemetery, like Forest Lawn. Whatever. I'll be buried there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in tons of like works of fiction and stuff as kind of this legendary character.
Yeah.
And I think he's just a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I think more than anything is the people that are nice.
Yeah, and you hope there's some people that are like, but for the most part,
What do you mean?
that are ironically nice to him.
Yes, of course.
I think there's always going to be
those-
ironic toleration.
There's always those people.
But I think in San Francisco, man, they are just like super tolerant, maybe a little more than they should be.
Okay, here's where I think.
But with him, he deserved it.
Here's where I think it could be ironically treated, and it's like you had like a psychotic break from not having money, so that you decided instead
Maybe it was just a crisis of identity.
you were royalty. But it's an easy thing to shit on. Where you'd be like, oh, you couldn't handle being broke like the rest of us, so like instead you were like, oh no, I'm the fucking emperor.
Right. When really maybe what it was, after being around all those people, being like, I can be broke and still be a better person than those people.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? It's trading places.
Right.
It's trading places. Like, I've been around rich people.
Yeah.
This is me quoting him in my mind.
Right.
I've been around these fucking people.
and they don't get what's up.
Their shit stinks.
Right.
I can wear...
And that's kind of a thing too, though, where you go like, no matter how poor I am, I'm still royalty, like inherently.
Mhm.
And part of that is being an altruistic person and doing the right thing.
Right.
You know.
The nefarious flip side of that is Donald Trump. I'm broke, but I'm royal.
Right, exactly.
It's,
But this guy was doing kind of the exact opposite, and everybody else was just like supporting him so much, where they were just going like, "Yeah, that's our guy."
Huh?
I mean, the fucking police saluting him is
Pretty great.
But it's also like
the U.S. Army gave him epaulets, like for his
Yeah.
uniform.
Yeah. Yeah, no harm in
but
that.
it's also like one
What
of
a great! I mean, if there's ever been an Uncle Sam,
right, and it's also one of these things where you go like, he was kind of the neighborhood watch, right? He was just the guy that was like around and like, you know, he's not retiring to like some fucking like, you know, mansion or whatever. He's just the guy that's literally on the street. So
right.
everybody there is gonna love him. And also, he kind of, like you said, like he does know what's up. He can be like, "Oh, here's what was jumping off on fucking like, you know."
I'm down there. I think it's like a combination of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and kind of like Uncle Sam Captain America thing, where like, you know, he was way ahead of his time with civil rights shit.
Right.
He went to bat for this is like 100 years before Rosa Parks, but like
Civil rights stuff and
yeah, civil rights as well. But black women sued the city for not being able to ride in the streetcars, and black children not being able to go to public school and stuff. And he was like, that's not popular back then. Maybe in San Francisco it is, but like, also remember that England had, I mean, even though he's only 2, but like England had like outlawed slavery way before that.
right.
But you know, to be on the right side of history when it's unpopular is to me very Captain America.
Yes.
And Captain America is just a symbol, right? Or so is Uncle Sam.
He was a symbol. He was a symbol of San Francisco.
Right. And if not the country, like, or what the country should aspire to.
Right.
Right. I mean, but you know, one of the reasons
Being
why
on the street.
it was like, why should we let him get away with this, or why should we celebrate him so much? Because if he dies, that little thing about San Francisco being the
Dies
special
with it.
place.
And not only that, it was that he was really
We're attracting a lot
he
of
was
tourists.
he was the guy saying like, "I'm the emperor," and like, what I say goes. Like, "Oh, Congress hasn't surrendered yet. That's weird because I just said you need to." Like,
Anyways, this pothole needs filling.
but he was also going like, you know, since I am on the street, like, I'm kind of more like democratic than any of these fucking frauds that you elect, because I'm here on the street in San Francisco. Like,
What about you?
my beat never ends.
right.
Right? I'm always out here, and you know.
I mean, this guy was emperor of the whole country, and I'm sure he put in more steps in San Francisco than Pelosi has.
She's too old to walk these days.
I mean, I like her big tits, but like
Jesus Christ.
heavy, right?
No, it doesn't count anymore.
What? We doesn't count anymore. There's 2 of them.
Perfect ending to your exhaustive profile.
All I'm saying is,
You love big tits.
how
I
can
get it.
you?
No,
I mean,
yeah, who doesn't?
he might be the most representative person of San Francisco of all time.
But
Yes,
and to
but-
be a representative,
but also Gavin Newsom is too.
But while taking a title that was never meant to be representative, he just kind of adopted representation. Is what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
he was kind
fair.
of like,
hey, Batman declared himself Batman. Did he not?
okay,
He did say, I'm Batman.
I'm a symbol, something elemental,
I
everlasting.
don't even know what the
incorruptible.
fuck you're talking about.
Some roles are self-appointed,
Right.
and they are illegal, but
I think it
we
was
tolerate them because they are doing more good than harm.
I also think his soft approach was also like, I need a place to stay and not get hurt. Like, so I'm going to be a benevolent emperor. I think was kind of part of his thing.
You can eat that.
People were nice to him, and he was very nice to them. And
Yeah, of course.
that's really what's so special about this case is it's
Not a drop of bloodshed.
nothing's legally binding. It's just really a guy talking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody just goes,
Not even crazy.
yeah, not even that crazy,
Not
but
that crazy,
but everybody's
yeah.
going.
The idea itself is a little okay.
But we're gonna go like, okay, we're going along with what you're saying, and
it's like having like the Grand Marshal of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Was it Gary Sinise? Who cares?
No.
But hey, you're the
Classic
Grand Marshal
Gary.
today.
Right.
I think he also invented the term "king for a day." Where-
Norton did.
Yeah, he would like find stuff in the newspaper of like a kid rescuing a cat, or like anybody that did like a crazy good deed.
They say you're king for a day.
You're a king for
That's
a day.
cool.
And I think he'd give him his hat. And
That's
and
so
stuff.
cool.
Yeah. He seemed like a really cool dude.
Yeah, you seem like a good dude.
Friendly
That's nice.
neighborhood emperor.
That's a thing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the thing. Where
No cross-dressing,
The
no
pe-
hooking.
the real kings are chosen by the people, and
Yeah.
and he was
Yeah.
because he was a kind
Because
man.
he said it, and they said, yeah.
But also
And so they did choose it.
Yeah.
but
And
he
how many other assholes said it?
he backed it up.
And they backed him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's yeah, that's it.
That's very sweet, Aaron.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that one. That was good.
I feel good about it. It was reading about it and listening to it. It was a feel good one. I mean, it sucks that he was poor and died, but he seemed to fucking dude. San Francisco's a decent place to be poor back then.
Yeah.
Kind of now too, if you like pavement. But what?
Who doesn't love pavement?
Yeah, the band is great, man.
yeah.
Gone too soon.
That's
That
a
was
great. I do. San Francisco's a great city. Shout out to all your San Franciscoites out there. Clean it up a little bit.
Man, those Frisco's rule, dude.
But I think San Francisco is so interesting because it does have, to me, this total parallel with New York, and like it is a condensed little city, but it is,
and they maintain a lot of their history.
and it's also just kind of the West Coast response to New York in a way.
Oh, Oakland used to be called Brooklyn,
Ah, wow,
and now Oakland is Brooklyn.
right,
Yeah, and no,
but-
San Francisco is just an insane VC or
Well, yeah,
Or-
that's
or
if you
tech-
go up like to fucking Sausalito or whatever that place is. I don't know.
but it's
Everything's
a
got a
little
houseboat.
condensed, tiny city kind of
On the water
with big ass
with a
hills.
prisoner island.
right?
Rikers, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's very
It's very, very New York. And you know what they have great? What's great about San Francisco? And I'm gonna leave it.
the BART.
The engineering of the city is very well done.
It
It's
is,
not
it is,
like
absolutely
LA or,
is.
or a lot of other planned out cities.
right, especially because the
It's
terrain is
right.
not really hospitable.
Right, but it's organically created, and therefore it's trial and error thing. And then, you know, the freeway just goes around the city.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're doing the freeway, you can be like, I need to go over there.
That's
And
what
you just-
DC is like.
Right, and DC traffic's horrible.
Yeah.
But you
Terrible.
just go around and it's elevated and you can see everything and you go. And they make it work.
Yeah. One time I took a bunch of mushrooms in the morning in San Francisco, and then I just went. I'm gonna go to that park. And then when I got to that park,
So many parks.
I went. Oh, I'll go to that park.
Great parks,
And then I
great
went to the
public
next
transit.
park. And then I went to the next park. All of a sudden, I'm in Golden Gate Park, and I just walked across the entire
Isn't that
city on
great?
mushrooms. And I was like, "This is fantastic!
It's a good
What
city
a nice
to walk
time."
around on
Good
mushrooms.
fucking time.
What a
You
nice
probably
time that
weren't
was.
the only one, pal.
Yeah.
I
No,
was with a friend of mine.
no stigma with their.
Was the emperor?
It was the caterpillar on the
day.
mushroom from Alice in Wonderland.
It's just a series of parks. You just go park to park.
A great public transit system that doesn't, there's no stigma to it.
No.
And then there's the BART, which is
Yes,
great.
Which is great. Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to keep they've got their buses are the streetcars now, like
Yeah.
they run on the electric wire
Mhm.
or they're hybrid electric. But they also, like in Union Square, they have all these old streetcars,
The old trolleys.
but from cities all around. So there's an LA one, there's a San Francisco one, there's a San Diego
stole
one.
it.
Fuck out of here, really?
Yeah, it's cool, dude. And they all reflect the style of the era.
Sick.
It was mad cool, dude.
That's very nice.
If you guys want to go back, we can go back.
I always want to go back to San Francisco.
I'm gonna be in bed with my girlfriend. You guys can sip in your own bed, but we can all go do stuff after.
You could probably take a photo shoot with your big balls.
How about a photo shoot with Michelangelo's David Duchovny?
No, we already did that.
No, but we're gonna call him up. Dude, we're gonna post this picture on the Instagram.
It'll be up before this.
It'll be up before this episode. And
David Duchovny should
we
weigh in.
on the
we gotta
Instagram.
get
I mean,
him.
you guys will see the Instagram picture before this episode is up.
Mm.
But if you haven't, go on the Instagram, like it, tag David Duchovny, and for that matter, Gillian
I
mean,
mean, she's
Yeah.
just a nice
Get her
lady.
involved.
she's
What a nice
isn't she a beautiful, talented woman?
Oh, my God.
Just
I think she's more beautiful than ever. I think her and
She's
Kate,
a heretically beautiful woman.
heretically, and it's hereditary.
Yeah, heretically.
Guys, you are my San Francisco treats.
Thank you.
You're one of the best motherfuckers of all time. I swear to God, you Squirt Reynolds.
May he rest in peace as well.
Yeah. Aaron, I love you. That was fantastic.
Love you, boys. That was fun.
I'm going to say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
I'm Aaron Pita.
Matt Brousseau.
Good night, everybody. We love you to bits.
Good night.
Starburns Audio.